Someone has written me a message asking what is my very favorite thing in the Middle East Bedside book, which I've just launched the 30th anniversary, totally reworked anniversary edition. And instantly I knew what to tell them. And I wanted to read it because it's this favorite passage of mine. It's just bizarre and incredible, and I love it. It's quite long, so bear with me. It's from a book called A Description of the East and Some Other Countries, published in 1743, and written by Richard Pocock. Here's a picture of him. He was a clergyman and a great traveller and recorder of life and traditions. And I salute Richard Pocock. This is his list of a caravan procession that passed him, or he passed, on its way to Mecca. The procession was in this manner, he says. 1 iron cannon and 6 brass cannon on neat carriages, each one of them drawn by 2 horses. 4 frames in embroidered cases, I suppose of leather, for holding powder and ball, drawn by men on foot. 7 camels with the provision of the Emir Hajj, or the Prince of Pilgrims. 4 camels with persons on them that played on some musical instrument. A caravan or litter carried by 4 mules. 8 light litters of the Emir Hajj, each carried by 2 camels. 70 camels loaded with biscuit. 14 with oil and butter. 50 camels with corn, and 1 with 2 long boxes of large wax candles for the service of the house of Mecca. 10 camels with sugar, coffee and the like. 4 more camels with kitchen utensils. 9 camels with plates. 8 camels with kitchen tent and tables for the cooks. 86 camels of the Emir Hajj not loaded. 12 other camels in the same manner, very finely caparisoned. 60 camels of the Emir Hajj not loaded. 54 camels loaded with water. 10 more camels loaded with tents. 8 camels loaded with water. 12 with a sort of box on either side to carry the stick. 2 of the boxes being covered, in which, if I mistake not, were medicines for the sick, and on one were loaded 2 boards with holes in them for washing the dead on. All these were said to have been from some private benefactor. 2 camels on which were persons that take care of the sick. Men on camels beating kettle drums, as almost at the end of every string of camels. Nearly half an hour after these, the rest proceeded in the following order. 6 camels loaded with iron frames in which they make fires. A litter. 4 loaded camels. 1 camel with kettle drums on it and 2 men beating a drum. 20 camels without loads. 2 cases for ball and powder. 6 camels loaded with tents and other things. 5 cases for ball and powder. 10 camels loaded with water. 1 camel with kettle drums. 2 cases with ball and powder. A litter. 2 camels loaded. 1 with music. 31 camels not loaded. 10 overseers of camels to carry water given by some caliphs and sultans of Egypt and others. 3 camels without music. 20 camels with loads. 2 camels with water. 16 overseers of the water on horses, 3 men on camels, 20 unloaded camels, 4 cases for ball and powder, 2 camels loaded with water, the imam or the head sheikh on a camel, who is chaplain of the caravan and offers up the prayers at the palace of Abraham's sacrifice. His outward garment of ceremony was white. He carried a green flag and blessed people with his right hand by holding it out and moving it gently as they do when they salute, but not bringing it to his breast. 11 camels not loaded, 3 pilgrims with camels on them, 2 camels with music, 22 camels without loads, 2 camels with sheikhs on them who lead the way on the road, 20 camels loaded with water, 1 with drums, 10 without loads, 5 loaded with water. The banner of the body of the Salafs, called Cherkes, 30 of their body, 20 ikisars of that body, each having a pike carried before him. The Sardar of the Cherkes and his lieutenant, 3 or 4 led horses, 2 seraches who are servants under him, 12 slaves on horses, 60 of the body called tufekshis, 30 ikias or elders of them, 4 slaves on horseback in coats of mail made of wire, 120 slaves, 20 men on camels, most of them slaves of the Sardar, 2 led camels for the Sardar, 2 camels without loads, 2 camels with kettle drums, 7 with baggage, 50 of the body of the Gernevals, their Sardar, 20 soldiers and 10 slaves with bows and arrows, 13 camels with men on them, 2 camels with kettle drums, 4 loaded camels, 2 officers called Oda Bafaz, 2 led horses, 2 saber derricks in kaftans, 7 camels saddled, 2 led horses, 2 Oda Bafaz, 1 camel, 34 sharfes or messengers of the divan, other officers. Then came the officers of the Emir Hajj, particularly these that follow: a chus or messenger in black, 3 standards, 5 camels saddled, 8 led horses, 2 seraches, 2 janissaries, 2 kais of the Emir Hajj, the treasurer of the Emir Hajj, 26 saddle camels, 5 horses, 1 saddle camel, 28 men on camels, 2 of them playing on musical instruments, 5 loaded camels. Next came the body of the Azabs, their 2 sabadereks, Oda Bashas, the standard of the Azabs, 3 in kaftans who walked, 3 Azabs in dress of ceremony, the Sardar and his lieutenant, saddle camels, man on loaded camels, music, a body of Azabs, then followed the janissaries, 2 sabadereks of that body, 2 janissaries, 2 serachas, a standard, 3 men walking in kaftans, 3 janissaries, the Sardar of the janissaries and his lieutenant, 2 janissaries, 2 saddle camels, 34 men on camels, 8 loaded camels, a body of janissaries, one standard bearer, another dressed in leopard skin, 21 truces, the agas of 7 military bodies with silver chains hanging from their bridles to their breastplates, 12 bays. Before each of them, 2 shatirs with black velvet turbans, the Trushaman Arga, the Muteferika Bashi, the Muteferika guards, the Shusla Kaya, the guard of the Chaufs. Then followed the immediate attendants of the Emir Hajj, 18 janissaries in their dress of ceremony, 4 officers of the Pasha, 4 janissaries, a standard, 2 standards, 4 Arab sheikhs, 2 mad sheikhs, bareheaded in white shirts, the Emir Hajj in a rich kaftan and on a beautiful horse adorned with the richest trappings, about 40 soldiers, 2 janissaries, the kaya of the divan, 60 slaves with bows and arrows, 2 imams, 4 led horses, a band of mules, 4 led camels, 26 camels loaded, 2 men on camels. Then came the sheikhs of the mosques and several companies of tradesmen with their standards, as in the procession of the hangings from the castle to the mosque, some of them dancing in the same manner, the fishermen carrying fish like serpents, probably eels, tied to the ends of long fishing rods, 4 truces of the divan, 16 janissaries in high dress, the sheikh called kafani, the great standard carried by the proper office on a camel, 5 camels, 3 of them having trappings of very fine embroidery, and lastly, the covering as in the other procession itself. What a wonderful thing. And again, that was published in 1743 by Richard Pocock in his book, A Description of the East and Some Other Countries.